Chag Shavuot is Chag Matan Torah. That means we celebrate the giving of the Torah. Now, a question that numerous people ask is, great, we celebrate the giving of the Torah, but why don't we celebrate receiving the Torah? What's the difference here? Okay, there are a lot of perspectives, etc., that people have expounded on. Allow me to share one with you that has helped me tremendously. Now, Rabbi David Aaron, in one of his fantastic videos, talked about a concept. Now, I'm going to take it in a direction which I feel, and so it in no way reflects on Rabbi Aaron. Rabbi Aaron basically said that when you receive something, for example, he gave an example that someone takes an apple. Someone gives you an apple. Basically, most people will take that apple. If someone says, "Here, take an apple." So people extend the arm and they'll take the apple. So what Rabbi Aaron is saying is that we should open our hand and let the apple drop in. Then we encompass the whole apple. We receive the whole apple. So what does that represent? When we go and take something out of life, we take according to our outlook, according to where we are at that time, our weaknesses, our biases, our prejudices. But when we open our hand, open ourselves to receiving, we are able to take much more of the experience, of the interaction, of whatever that may be. We are able to see a lot more because we haven't gone and grabbed it according to the narrowness of our own personal perspective, biases, outlook, nurturing, education, etc. So, Rabbi Aaron explains that the Kabbalah is basically teaching us how to receive life. Okay? So, when it comes to the Torah, receiving the Torah, it says Chag Matan Torah because we were given the Torah, and that is a great celebration. But how we receive the Torah is something that is going to change on a daily basis, and every year that we receive the Torah, hopefully we'll be different people. Now, Rabbi Aaron mentions a fantastic point. When you're not a taker, and when you are open to receive life, suddenly a relationship is created. In other words, you have received something, you've received life, so there's a giver. And there's a connection between you, a relationship, and the giver. Now, I'm taking it in a different direction, and any change here and of expressing Rabbi Aaron's words in a way that is not what he intended is totally my fault. I'm just taking it in my direction. So in other words, when you see everything as the need to receive, to open yourself up, to not be limited by taking according to your perspective, your education, your biases, where you are right now, then suddenly receiving something creates a relationship. And when you have that relationship of receiving, suddenly gratitude comes into play. And the more we are open to receiving in the most positive way, without our judging, the greater our connection and the greater our relationship. And so the more we connect and the more we are able to receive, the more we feel. So in other words, the more we receive, the more we are open to receive and work on constantly being open to receiving, the more our relationship with God is going to improve, the more our connection is going to improve. And once our connection improves, and we work on it improving through working on our ability and expanding our ability, our willingness to receive, so we connect more to the Torah. And the Torah that we receive, that we've been given, is so much more meaningful. It's a Torah on a totally different level. And so why it's not, we don't believe in coincidences, but Moshe Rabbeinu. Why do you think it was Moshe Rabbeinu who had to receive the Torah, who had to be our leader? Because when you are humble, you make the space in your life to be totally open to receive other people as they are, to receive the experience, because a humble person wants to take as much as they can, wants to learn. And Moshe, as we know, was the humblest person alive, the most humble person alive. And so it's no coincidence that he received the Torah. He was said to have the aspeklaria meira, the clearest vision that any human had in an interaction with God, because he was so open to receiving. And when you're so open to receiving, you experience life at a totally different level. Because when we grab and we take something, that's only according to our perception as far as we can see. And when God comes into the picture, we know that only God has the fullest picture. So in other words, the wonderful thing here is for Shavuot, yes, we're celebrating the giving of the Torah, because the receiving of the Torah is up to you. What are you doing to expand your receiving of the Torah? How are you receiving the Torah? As we said, when you see it as receiving, a relationship is created. Gratitude comes into play. And then we feel a lot more and we connect more to God. And when we feel a lot more and we connect more to God, we are willing to devote ourselves more, to do more. And that's why Am Yisrael also said, Na'aseh v'nishma. They made the space for God. Yes, they're receiving everything. We're going to take it and we're going to start doing. We're going to start the action. So, may we all merit to learn how to receive. Because the more we learn how to receive, the more we'll get. Because just as Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest among us, was selfless. In other words, there was less of his self. He was so humble that he made the space to receive more than any one of us has ever received. Serving as an example, when you are selfless, just like Moshe Rabbeinu, you become so much more. So may we learn to be humble and selfless, so we can receive so much more each year and each and every day of what God has to give us in our wonderful Torah. And then when we become selfless, eventually we're going to feel that we are so much more, and that we're going to learn to value ourselves. And when we value ourselves, we look at the world differently. So Chag, Shavuot Sameach, may we learn to transition from takers to receivers and start living the life that God meant us to live.